Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews. Have you ever wondered what games you should sell or you should use? Find out here at Purge Reviews. Find out on our top 10 list what games you cannot miss. Don't forget to subscribe to Purge Reviews.
Castelli is another one of those Queen games that's abstract. It's got some nice pieces to it, but it's all about the scoring. You're playing this game to score. There's no engine to build. There's no let's do this to get this to make this. It's straight up, how can I score the most points? Now this game is really abstract. Like they're trying to put some kind of theme on it. God bless them. Whenever they can't find a theme, they slap a guy with a castle staring into medieval times, because that's just their go-to. And it works sometimes more than others. It's okay. Nothing in this game makes sense thematically. Why are you scoring castles and villages straight up and down and left and right? Makes no sense whatsoever. No matter how hard you try, it's not going to make sense. The game lends itself to analysis paralysis a little bit. There were times, we were playing this in a light thing, we were kind of just keeping the game moving. You go ahead and take your turn. I'm going to count up all these points and see what scores the best. It doesn't affect your turn. I just want to play around with the numbers for a minute. So we would do that just to keep the game moving. Because this is intended to be a 30 to 45 minute game. But to really win, or to make this competitive, to play it the way it's supposed to be played, you really sometimes got to sit down and go, okay, this is 6 points, this is 5, this is 8, this is 4. I almost wish there was a dry erase board where you could put on each spot. This spot's worth 4. This spot's worth 5. This spot's worth 6. So you didn't have to keep doing that math over and over again. Not that the math was hard. It was just cumbersome, time-consuming. It led to some analysis paralysis. The scoring is so simple. It should take 10 seconds, but it might take you 2 to 4 minutes. That doesn't sound like a lot, but in a game this light, it is. If there's 8 to 10 scoring in a game, or maybe even 30. You do 2 or 3 minutes just to score each time, and looking around, you got an hour game on your hand that should be 30 minutes, and that can make a game last longer than it. So if you're going to play this, don't play this with anybody who has analysis paralysis. You need to move this game along. And we play friendly, so we're like, okay, this is 8 over here. Is anything on the board that can be 8? And we kind of look together. We're fine playing like that. We play friendly games. And I think that's what you want to do with this game. Otherwise, I'm pretty much going to tell you to skip this game. If you really like a light abstract and you want something like this, take a peek at it, try it out at the con, try it with friends. I don't think this is a game that you're going to want to play. You don't have enough control, and you have that lack of control in this game where every time you place a tile, you're setting up 3 other people, including yourself. So in order to score, I was very much relying on what other people were doing, and if it just didn't work out the way I wanted it to, I was just hosed. I'm not particularly good at these type of games, which I'm okay with. I don't have to win, but I want to feel like I'm in control of what I'm doing. And if you're playing a 4-player game, 3/4 of the tiles are not being played. 3/4 of your tiles, because every tile has your number on it, is not scored. I also had some questions that were a little bit loose in the rule book, like if a card, when you're turning a tile over, if a card is on a red, does the red player draw the card, or just whoever flipped it over? And if so, does that just represent a 0, which it does, but why is it on that color for? So I was a little bit unsure about that. Otherwise, and I couldn't find any answers online with a quick glance. I didn't care enough to really figure it out, I guess. But it's okay. It's not something that I want to go back to and play. I'm not going to recommend it to you, and I'm going to go ahead and purge it. I need a game with a little bit more control. I'm not the biggest fan of these abstract scoring games, what I call abstract scoring, where it's all about scoring. So it doesn't really hit that vibe for me. It is short. I do like that about it, and I kind of like the area control. I like the idea more of somebody else placing it and helping me out than I actually like it. I rather have control of my turn. So this is going to be a purge for me. I'd probably tell you to skip this one and move on. There's so many good games out there that I wouldn't waste any more time on this one. Castelli, which is a Queen's game. Another game with a man looking at a castle. Board gamers don't have a lot of those. My copy, I had to print out some rules because I misplaced the original rules. You're going to get a board, a modular board that's really hard cardboard that you will set up yourself. That saves quite a bit of room. That's a scoring track that'll go with it, and which will also give you the randomness of setting these 4 boards up in a different format each time you play. You're going to get a number of tiles that will be used in the game. These are very durable. Although kind of plain using, it's very easy to use when you're actually playing the game and really nice. You're going to get a number of these cards. I don't feel like there was enough variety in these cards. These cards are nice, but a lot of them kind of do the same things over and over again. And there are a couple of variants in the bag. You're going to get some wooden pieces. These are really nice. You're going to get, these are the castles that you're building. They come in 4 different colors. And you're going to have little buildings. These new, there'll be like scoring buildings for the game itself. I mean, there's quite a bit of wood in here that you get. Nothing really stands out per se. Cubes and stuff. But they're very, very good quality if you like that sort of thing. That's the components. The insert is kind of cool. It's got the artwork from the game on it. You got this as a little bit divider. For the most part, it's not very functional. Queen games usually put out really good rule books. In this case, I felt like there were some rules that were a little ambiguous. I said it earlier, but, you know, do I draw that card because I flipped the tile over, or is it the color that the card is on? Because I feel like if I drew it, just being the player, that it would be in the center like the silver is. Otherwise, why would it be on the color? Unless it's just to represent the 0, but why don't they just put a 0 on it and put the card in the center? The rules led me to believe that the person flipping the tile drew the card, but the tile itself led me to believe that it was the player. And I was a little unsure about that. Otherwise, I think the rules are pretty clear. I don't like the card deck that they have. Okay, there's some like powerful cards in there, and like some of the cards, you just flip it over, you score 5 victory points. Why? Because you flip this card over at the right time. There are some, and I like the ones more that like let you play it, and then you get to orientate the card for yourself. I think that was really good. But I'm not really a big fan of, oh, I flipped the card so I score points. Fantastic. You're such a good player. Oh, you beat me by 4 points and you flipped over a 5-pointer. Aren't you lucky? I like the ones that are more, okay, I got to make a strategic decision on how best to use this card. And this card could be completely useless, or it could be what helps me win the game, but it's a decision that I'm making. And I didn't get that from some of the cards. I didn't like some of the cards. I almost just want to take those cards out if I was going to play it again, but I don't know about balancing issues. The game does come with a couple of variants. I don't particularly think that you should play with any of them. There's one where you have 2 games going on at the same time. Super bizarre. There's some battle cards that you can play with. That one's probably okay. But I would just probably, if I'm going to play this, just play the straight up game. I think they made a good decision just with the game and not using those variants in the game. Although I always think it's fun when people provide variants for me that way. If I wanted to play it differently, then I could. So what you have here is you have the scoreboard going around it, and you have these 4 squares in the center. And what these 4 squares do is they represent the board, and you'll put these tiles randomly face down on the game. You will also have these trackers on the side that will track stone, hay, and wood, and you'll be moving up these tracks. They go from 0 to 5. 5 is the most you have. You get over 5, then you can't do anything about it. You can't get any more. What you're going to do in your turn is you're going to randomly turn one of these over. And this is the problem with the game, is that you really don't know what you're doing because you don't have any idea what you're going to get. And this represents, these tiles are going to represent each of the 4 colors. So this is draw a card. If there was a, sometimes there'll be a little silver cube, and that means you get a silver cube. And what silver cubes do, if you spend 2 of those, they can be one of these resources when you're building the castle. So this will correspond to the area control. And what you're doing here is that there's area. Here's a mountain, here's a beach, and here's a hayfield. And what you're trying to do is situate this. Now, whenever you place something of yours on the board, you're also giving a little bit of area control to somebody else. So when 2 sides of it, so let's say this side was taken care of here. Let's say I put the card here, which represents 0, and green 2. Well, that's going to close this off. There's no more sides of this mountain. So then you would score. This has 1 space, so you would get 1 stone. Green would get 1 stone because the area control is 2. But on this hay, it's red 2 and blue 2, which is a tie, so you just each get 1 instead of 2. So that's what you're doing. You just turn this over, and you're trying to figure out, like this one allows you to get a free car, this tent. Which way will maximize the area control for me? So this one is blue, would get the 1 hay, and if this one was turned over and situated this way, blue would get 1 free card. If it was like this, yellow would. So it's just a little bit of an area control game. And then what you're doing, if you pay 1 of each resource at the end of your turn, you can put these castles out, and they're built on the mountain spots, which is pretty easy the way they work. You score 2 points for one of these big castles and 1 point for the little village. You go all the way up and down, so in this case it would be 2, and across would be 3. Now if you happen to be on a spot with the castle, great. So you actually count this twice. You're going to count it once going up and down, and then once going left to right. That's all you're doing. So at the beginning of the turn, you are flipping a tile. You're going to orientate it however you want for area control. If you close something off, you get the little goodies, and you can build a castle if you want. Whoever scores the most victory points at the end of the game is the winner. Now, in addition, you're going to have these cards that you can get. Let me set these aside. And when you get the cards, they allow you to kind of break the rules a little bit. So this one allows you on somebody else's turn to play it, and you can orientate the tile instead of them. This one allows you to take half of the silver that's available. This allows you to pay 1 silver instead of 2 to build if you want to. And then there's some that just, I mean, heck, it couldn't be more straightforward than this. They just give you victory points. So these guys, if you just happen to draw them, you get 4, 5, 3, whatever victory points. This guy lets you to build instead of a mountain space, you can build in a hay space. So these will break the rules a little bit and allow you to do some other things. But really, you're just flipping a tile, orientating it for area control, and if you have enough resources, you build the castle, and the castles are how you score points. And that's Castelli. Who should buy this game? I'm probably going to say this is a pass for most gamers. I think maybe that if you wanted abstract, you want light, you want some easy scoring, it doesn't have to make a lot of sense thematically, then this might be something you want to look into. It plays really quickly. You don't mind the lack of control that you have in some aspects of the game. If you don't mind flipping over a card and somebody scoring 5 victory points because reasons, then that's fine too. I think there's better design games. I think there's better games on the market, but sometimes these light little abstracts have their place, and this one may have a place in your collection. Unfortunately, it doesn't for me. I'm going to purge this one. I'm probably going to recommend you just pass this one on by. If anyone wants to play it, I think you can find better games to play than this one. Pass this one by. Purge for me.